everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and welcome to my tiny little game room. We're going to do a little tour today of my little tiny game room. So there are tons of people on... See, there we go. We're done. That's it. Okay, game over. Thanks for watching. Sure appreciate it. I'm Captain Logan. See you later. No, there are tons of people on YouTube who have incredible game collections and you know, kind of these giant shrines to video game history, and obviously mine is very humble, and as a lot of you know, I'm kind of more of a casual gamer for today's standards, but I am a huge fan of retro stuff and platformers and kart racing and things like that. And so this is less of a video game collection in the sense of trying to get like every video game that's on a system, and just sort of more of a tribute and shrine to all the stuff I loved when I was a kid and have continued to love since then. And so as you can see, I have quite a few systems hooked up down here. I have and by the way, I have shown this room off before, but it's been a long time, so it looks different now, or it looks a little different now. I want to say it was 2012. We moved into this house, and I did several videos showing off different rooms in the house. Back then, did some collection things, but I had just set these things up, so I thought it was time to do an update and show you how things have changed and things that maybe I've added to the collections. I just did a video a couple weeks ago with Brandon showing off some of the comic book collection. We're not done. We're going to be doing some more of that, and I have several more collection videos that I want to do in the future, so look forward to that. I'm going to do another one on the superhero movie collection, which is like 4 or 5 times bigger than it was the last time I did that, so just some updates of the collection videos. But anyway, this is still set up more or less the way it was before. This is the Nintendo TV and the Sega TV plus everything else. There's so much going on this shelf over here. I've got the 360 there. I've got both of my PlayStation systems. Yeah, I never had a PlayStation 3, and I decided to opt for the PS4 instead of the Xbox One, which is why you see a PS2 and a PS4, but not the system in between. It's like skipping the second act in a trilogy. And that TV is about a year old now. I used to have a big giant tube TV there, which was really heavy, and Sarah and I were afraid it was going to collapse this shelf. I mean, it was really, I mean, that thing is like 50 pounds. So we finally replaced it, and of course that's a lot nicer for playing more recent things. The aspect ratio is right. It's the screen's a little bigger in its wide. So anyway, that's why you've got kind of this older TV and this older looking setup, and then this kind of newer thing, but then all the Sega systems going all the way back. So anyway, part of the reason I'm doing this now is I'm excited about this room. It's finally much more like what I always wanted it to be, because I just got all the systems, hooked up at once, and now I have it set up so that you can turn on any system and play it without having to move cords around, which is really exciting. I've never ever had that, at least since I've had more than a few systems, and that's just a really big deal to me. And finally got, Brandon came in and helped me a couple nights ago. We spent several hours on this, so thanks, Brandon. And we got all these cords put behind the TVs. Some of it's still a little bit unsightly, but it's not anything like as bad as it was before. And I might keep plugging away at that and trying to make it look a little bit a little nicer than it does right now. But what I've done is, in case you're curious about what you can do to get all your systems working at once, is set up at once so that you don't have to keep unplugging and replugging things in. Is I've got this splitter box. This is an RCA switch box, and it's got 4 channels. You can put 4 composites in the back or S-video, and that allows you to have a whole lot more stuff plugged in at once, because a lot of TVs will only have 1 composite in the back of the TV. Sometimes you'll get a couple, but not usually more than that. This TV's weird. It has... Oh, there I am. Hello. This TV is weird because it has actually 3 HDMI ports in the back, but it only has one composite plug, and then the components. And so the way I've got this jury rigged right now is a little bit weird, and I might eventually change this a little bit and not go through a VCR, but the reason I've got to do that right now, not to get too in-depth into this, is because the Xbox 360, right now I've only got through components because it's the older model. It's amazing, by the way, that thing still works and hasn't red ringed. I went through like 4 or 5 of them before I finally got one that worked. Like I got a refurbished one when I was working at GameStop years ago. I got a refurbished one, and every time I bring one home, it would red ring, so I kept having to bring them back and replace them. And then I finally got this one, and it's been working for 5 years. It's absolutely remarkable. But it doesn't have an HDMI port. They hadn't done that yet, and I think there might be a thing that you can get that has the same plug the composite does, that goes, that the components do, that goes into the back, and then it's HDMI on the other side. I'm not sure if that's even a thing. But anyway, long story short, I would have to either get that or get composites so that in the back of the TV, I'd have a spot open so that I could plug in this box and not have to go through a VCR. So as you can see, it's a little bit complicated, but I've got this nice little cheat sheet that tells me, and more importantly, my wife and my son Jason, so that they can figure out how the heck to turn on a system, exactly what channels that you need everything to be switched to in order to turn on each system. But they all turn on now, and that is super exciting. So anyway, let's go through everything, and I'll just show you what systems I have, and I'll show you a little bit of my, again, kind of humble Spartan game collection, and some other kind of fun things in this room. So we start with the Sega TV, and we begin with my pride and joy. This is my custom Spawn Dreamcast. I showed this off, of course, in Spawn Year. Spawn Year is the big reason I bought this. Now that I have it, and I've had it for a couple years, and I'm just in love with it, I really want to start getting... There's Crazy Taxi. I really want to start getting into more of these custom systems. Not replace them. I mean, I'll keep all these in case those were to go out, but to display them in here, I just think it would look really cool to have mostly customs. And that would maybe be kind of like the cool thing that I would have over some other people with neat game rooms is, yeah, mine's super small and probably hardly even counts for some people, but I've got like but I've got all these custom paint jobs on all my systems. So anyway, that's the thing I'm thinking about doing eventually. But yeah, the Spawn Dreamcast is amazing. I got this for an incredible price, and I think he made 2 of them, unless anybody ever asked for one later. And what ended up happening with this, I don't know if I've told this story, so I'll go ahead and tell it now. Is when I got it, it was really hot outside, and when I got here, the top of it the paint job was bubbling up some, so I had to send it back to him and have him smooth that out. And when I sent it back to him, he and I had already been talking back and forth, and I told him about Spawn Year. And he started watching Spawn Year, and he really liked it, and we were having a lot of nice, fun, geeky chats back and forth over email. And so when he sent the system back to him, I'm so glad I ended up having to send it back to him, because when he sent it back to me, this is plugged in, so getting to this, he personalized it for me, and he already signs these, but he wrote to Captain Logan, and I thought that was really super cool. So anyway, this is just one of my favorite things now, and one of the things that really made Spawn Year worthwhile. I never would have found that if it weren't for my having to look for the Spawn Dreamcast game, which I had a copy of but couldn't find. Like, I had the case, and the game was nowhere to be found, and so I ended up having to break down and buy another one. And in looking for that, yeah, like so many weird ifs. It's so interesting how life goes sometimes. There's so many of these weird ifs that if all these things hadn't lined up, I never would have met this guy, I never would have found the system. And I have every intention of buying more things from him. down the road. Anyway, so other things here. So this is, again, hello again. This is the Sega TV, but there's a lot of other things connected to it. There's my PS2, my little slim PS2. It's amazing that thing still works. Here is the 360, which used to live in here, but it just ran out of space. So that's the 360, and of course, and then the Kinect, which I bought so that Jason could play Michael Jackson: The Experience. I haven't played anything with the Kinect yet. There wasn't anything that really especially appealed to me with motion control, but Jason is so big into dance right now, and he goes to dance class and stuff, and he's a big fan of Michael Jackson, so I bought that for him so that he could play Michael Jackson: The Experience, and he loves that. We just posted a video of him doing that a couple weeks ago, if you want to check that out. Then again, there's the Switch box. Here is the remote for the Roku stick. That's part of the other reason that I had this flat screen TV in here, is so that I can watch Hulu, and a lot of the things that I watch for Primetime Crisis I do right in here in this room through Hulu, streaming it right into the TV. It's really nice. And then there's my Sega Saturn. I love the Sega Saturn. I don't have a giant library for it. I primarily, when I was a kid, bought that for Virtua Fighter, because in the arcades I was a big fan of that game, and became even more so having it at home and playing it a lot. And also, of course, for Nights into Dreams, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And again, why I'm hoping that I can get my hands on one of those custom Nights consoles. And then here is this weird at games. I want to say that I might have done a recommend on this. I can't remember. I kind of don't recommend it, so I don't know if I did a recommends on it. It's a cool idea, but it didn't quite. I went ahead and hooked this up just because I had an extra spot and I could, but I don't know if I'm going to really use it much ever again. The problem with it is, so the idea, if you haven't seen one of these, is it's kind of neat. It's like, I don't know, it's like $40-$50. And it's got a slot on top where you can put Genesis games if you have them, but then it has a whole bunch of games built into it, and it's got all the Sonic games and then both Vector Man games, and a lot of the Shinobis on there, a lot of the classic stuff. But then the problem with it is it transposes all the music up like a third, and it just sounds weird. And when you put games in it in the top, it does that to them too. It's not just the ones built in. Anything you play through, it does that, and it sounds bizarre. Some of the sound effects are off. In the Sonic games, the ring sound is strange. So anyway, it's a cool idea, but it was executed poorly, and I don't know what happened with the sound card in that thing. But anyway, as I said, I primarily have this VCR here as kind of a hub in order to plug more things in, but I do still have a few of my old VHS tapes, and will occasionally pull those out. At the bottom, I've got I want to say this was the first generation Genesis, and then there's of course, first model Genesis. I grew up with the more common model that everybody had, and as I said, I've had to replace a couple of systems here and there because just various reasons, like my dad would hang on to them, and I moved when I eventually grew up, I just didn't have any more. I had to replace them, so I had to get a new Genesis, and I don't remember where I got this one or why I got this older model, but I kind of like it, and I might at some point get the other model too, just to have them both. And then again, there's the PS4. I'd really like to get, speaking of, this isn't custom, but speaking of just other systems that have like characters and stuff on them, the Batman system that came out for Arkham Knight is really cool, and I kind of like to get my hands on that. I think there's a limited number of those that were put out, but I think you can get it for about $350, and I don't know, that's a thing I'd like to have too. So that's that TV. Like I said, the majority of systems is plugged into that one, and then over here is just Nintendo systems. We've got just 5 systems over here, and what's actually really funny about this is that right now I've got the GameCube actually going. You see that cord coming from it down and around. I actually have the GameCube going into this TV right now, just because I didn't have enough. I had a splitter box, and I didn't have enough ports on this TV to put everything in. So kind of my rationale behind that, besides just it's the practical thing that I had to do, is I have all the Sonic games on the Sonic Mega Collection for the GameCube, and primarily play it there, and so that way you're playing Sonic on the Genesis TV, even though you're still playing it on a Nintendo system. Anyway, so original Nintendo, I've got this hooked up, if anybody's curious, with the RF switch instead of the patch cables. I used to always do this patch cables because I thought it was super cool that as early as, 83, 84, Nintendo thought to make it possible to hook it up a couple different ways and through composites, kind of ahead of its time, because everything else went RF switch, and continued doing that afterwards, and up until like the 64 and PS1 era, I think. So I always thought it was really neat that they give you that option on the side there, so you can see that you can hook in. It's not stereo sound. You can't hook in the red and the white. It's just the red. But I thought it was always cool they had that, and I always wished the Super Nintendo had done that as well. But anyway, like I said, I had to go out and actually get a new RF switch for it because I didn't have one, and I had to figure out a way to hook all this stuff up at once. So I've got that. I've got the GameCube. Mine is the black model of GameCube. There were a lot of different colors. There goes Angela's stick. That thing. It keeps falling out of her hand. I gotta fix that. Anyway, so yeah, I got the black one. I just thought it was cool and sleek looking, and it's kind of a redundant system right now because I've got one of the earlier Wii's that was backwards compatible to the GameCube and could just plug in GameCube games to it. But I like having all the systems that I have represented. This thing is an adapter for the Wavebird, so if you have the wireless controller, the Wavebird, you've got to have this adapter connected to it so that it can read it. There's my Super Nintendo. It still basically has its color, which is really nice. I know a lot of these turn yellow. Mine has not, so that's nice. And I probably mentioned this before, but I still kind of take pride in the fact that I've had that since my 9th or 10th birthday, 1993, 94. I forget which, but anyway, and I still am using the original 2 controllers that came with it. And I mean, I have played the crap out of that system, and those controllers both still work, and I've never had to replace them, and that is really cool. There's my N64. That is a system I have had to replace controllers for, and I think a lot of people have had that problem with those sticks and the kind of chafing, the paint that happens in the middle of it, and all that stuff. And then I really recommend these charging stands for Wii remotes. It sucks to have to replace batteries all the time, and it's nicer to have one of these. So yeah, I like the charging station. Here's my Wii. It's over here in this really cool display that I found recently at a really cool little independent store in Lawrence, Kansas called Game Nut. Well, I say little. They have 2 now, and that company's getting bigger. And anyway, it's this really neat video game store that has stuff going all the way back, and I found the stand when I went there and assumed it would be expensive, and I got it for $10. They wanted $15 originally and said that they had been trying to get rid of that thing for years. They couldn't unload it, and I was like, why in the world did nobody want that? It's fantastic. Like, it's got slots for games. I have almost as many as it has slots for, so eventually I'm going to run out, but like you can actually put the system itself on it, and then I'm not using them right now just because of where this is sitting, but it's even got it's even got pockets on the sides to put your Wii remotes in. And I was like, I wish I could find a thing like that for other systems. That's fantastic. So anyway, let's look a little bit at the games. I guess first I'll show you some of the collectibles I've got strewn around here. I got a few token things just to kind of round this room out and make it, look fun and geeky. I have many more toys than this that are packed up right now because I just don't have any place for them. I probably got 200 or 300 figures that I could be displaying right now. And I'd like to put up some shelves at some point, I couldn't, display everything I'd like to. So these are kind of just the larger things and things that I thought were really displayable. My Power Ranger stuff. The Thunder Megazord there is the original, but it's a little bit flimsy. It's falling apart a little bit. It looks really good, but it doesn't handle real well. There's the original Dragon Zord. I bought that, I think, last year. There's my Lord Zed and my Goldar. Those are original releases from the early '90s, and then the Dino Megazord, excuse me. There is a smaller kind of replica version that came out in 2010, and there's a whole lot of releases out right now that I'd really like to get my hands on. A whole lot of these like legacy editions of Mighty Morphin things. So I don't know. One day I might continue my Power Rangers collection, but you know what? I've also got I guess it's Jason's, but we've got a White Tiger Zord that's upstairs right now, not down here. But anyway, there is Krang. I just bought him recently. Finally, my giant Spawn figure that was featured all over Spawn Year. I have, of course, tons more Spawn figures than the ones you're seeing in here, but there's just a couple that I've got displayed. And that back there, some of you I'm sure will recognize that. That is not a toy. That turtle van is the case for the entire Ninja Turtles DVD collection, and I've probably shown off a lot of these things on Recommends before, but in case you didn't see those particular episodes of Recommends, or you're not gotten to see this room before, here's some of my cool stuff. And then up here, there's my Angela with the lance that fell off and knocked over Venom on his face. There's some bobblehead pop figures, and then. So there's Angela, and then here are my Bracken Zorak statues that I got years and years ago. These are limited edition from Cartoon Network. They only made 2,500 of these, and I got my hands on them pretty cheap. Like I said, at a comic shop, again, in Lawrence. Well, actually, I guess that was Astro Kitty, which was featured in the Midwestern panels last year. And I like these a lot. Joel gave me a really great deal on those. Like I said, I think I bought those even before I got married. I've got, let's see, there's my season 5 Buffy signed picture with the entire cast and Joss Whedon. Yeah, I've got Joss Whedon's autograph. Not that I met them all and got that signed myself. I found that at a flea market years ago. It's got a certificate of authenticity, so I know it's real. I just haven't met these people. But it is cool to have Joss Whedon's autograph, not to mention Sarah Michelle Gellar and Anthony Haddon, all these guys. My wife and I are big Buffy Angel fans. More Angel than Buffy, certainly, but Spike is one of our favorite people, so there's our Spike picture. There is again, I've probably shown this off before, but here's the Sideshow Collectibles banner of Galactus, and at first glance it looks like just a really well-drawn Galactus, really lifelike, and then you get closer to it and realize, oh, that's a banner of an action figure that I don't own. So yeah, I'm displaying a picture of an action figure, but it looks so good that it doesn't really feel silly to have that and not that figure. I also have a really cool Galactus figure. It's just not, a $500 Sideshow. Here is my, I forget who made this, but these talking Galactuses that came out a few years ago. And there was also if memory serves, a Sentinel. I'd love to get my hands on that at some point. And then there's a couple other guys. Here's my General Zod still in the box. I've never taken him out, and I probably won't, although his accessories are super cool. I bought that. I've talked about this before, too. I bought this at Metropolis on the trip for the Midwestern panels, and if you watch the movie, you actually see me in the movie seeing this for the first time and being blown away by it, and I ultimately ended up buying it. And there's a Venom and a Spider-Man. This is the 5th anniversary Ninja Turtle statue. Yeah, I'm surprised that I managed to hang on to that thing, and I guess I have most of my whole action figure collection from when I was a kid. That's in a chest in the other room, but that thing I've left out just because it's on a base and it looks cool. Okay, what else? So let's go ahead and, as I said, I was going to do this earlier, but let's go ahead and look at the video games. So here is my Super Nintendo collection. I won't read everything off. I guess I'll just mention a couple things here and there. A lot of things I'd like to eventually do some gameplay on, or straight-up reviews of, and I'm seriously considering starting to make to make a superhero replay more of a series. I mean, nobody get too excited. I don't know that I would ever have the time to make as many even as I do with Superhero Rewind, which I've only managed to do about twice a month recently. So, but it is a thing I'd like to do a little more often. And if anybody ever has any ideas for amusing or really interesting video superhero releases that I might not even know about, let me know. I just found out that there was and I want to do mostly retro stuff, but I mean I'll do things that are semi-recent also. But I really want to do a lot of like 8 and 16-bit things and even things from like the 64 era. Stuff like that. I discovered recently that there was a Darkman game on the NES. I had no idea, and it was well reviewed. So I gotta get my hands on that. That might be a thing that I try to do a rewind on. It might be fun to try to do video games based mostly on things that I've done superhero rewinds on already. But that show would get kind of sticky when you get into things that have storylines. Where you're like, okay, do I do one? Do I do the storyline on Superhero Rewind? Do I analyze the narrative there and then do the gameplay on another show, or do I only do one? So anyway, I'm not sure how I'll do that, but I would like to make more of those because those are super fun and it's a different kind of review and it's nice to have some variety. It's nice for my brain to do some different things and have some variety. So anyway, so there's a Justice League Task Force, kind of the spiritual predecessor to what is that game? To Injustice: Gods Among Us, and that's a thing that I might do a superhero replay on at some point. That DC fighting game. There's the Tick. That was the first thing I did. I think that was the first time I ever reviewed a video game. There's the infamous Spawn game. When I say infamous, it's good. It's just really, really hard. There's Link to the Past, which is a lot of people's favorite Zelda game of all time. I'm not a big Zelda guy at all, but I do have a copy of that because I feel like I would be remiss and torn apart by Super Nintendo fans if I did not have a copy of Link to the Past. There is Uniracers, which is one of my favorite racing games of all time, and has just a killer soundtrack. And is a really kind of unique piece of work. Star Fox, of course. Gotta have Star Fox. I still love Mario Paint, as outdated as it is. I just recently procured the entire Star Wars trilogy, the Super Star Wars games. They are really, really hard, but pretty fun. And again, I might do platforming hours on those at some point, but I just finally got all 3 of those. As you can tell, I've got space issues right now, so some of these are having to kind of sit on top. What else? The Power Rangers side-scroller, which is a beat-em-up and a platformer. It's kind of decent. I'll probably do a review at some point of that. Cool Spot. I'm a big fan of Cool Spot. I've been meaning to do a Cool Spot kind of retrospective video that I want to do in the near future if I can find the time to sit down and do it. A lot of cool things I've learned recently doing some research about 7-Up and Spot, and it sucks they don't use that mascot anymore. I always thought it was really cool, and Cool Spot was one of my favorite games for the Super Nintendo. I have that, and I have Spot on the NES, which was Othello. Where is that? There it is. Spot on the NES. But it was basically just Othello with an attitude. But not the board game, not the Shakespeare play. But anyway, so there was another one, Spot Goes to Hollywood, but I don't have that on anything right now. And then 64 games, of course, those don't have end labels. Everybody always likes to complain about that. There's Star Fox 64. Pokemon Stadium, which my wife likes a lot. Star Wars Rogue Squadron. Of course, you gotta have Mario 64. I like Pilot Wings a lot. I was playing that again the other day now that I finally got all my systems hooked up and working at once. I haven't played that in the longest time, and that game's really fun, but really hard, and I am just no good at landing right when I'm trying to hang glide. There's Killer Instinct Gold, in my opinion, the greatest of the Killer Instinct games, although if it was anything after that, I never played it. I'm sure there has been. What else? Wave Race! You almost had it! And then you've got Mario Kart 64, Mario Kart 64. and of course GoldenEye. So I've got kind of, the big classics for 64 mostly. Next up, we get into the NES games. Again, obviously not a giant NES library, but here's what I have. And my most recent acquisitions on the NES are The Last Starfighter, which I had no idea there was a movie, there was a game based on the movie The Last Starfighter, and was so curious about it, I had to get it and decided not to look at gameplay first. I thought it would be fun to just buy that and see if it was worth the $10 I spent on it. And Sarah and I popped it in the machine, and she was instantly way better at it than I was, and we actually kind of enjoyed it. It's a really unique space shooter. It's really tough, but you feel like, and I think this might be by design, like if you mastered it, you'd be worthy of Zentari coming down and taking you up into space and helping to stop the evil empire on his planet. Anyway, so or in the universe at large that he doesn't know that he inhabits. So yeah, I got again a lot of the classics: Mario 2, Mario 3. Mario 3, I guess, is in the machine right now. Dr. Mario, Clax. This is a really cool puzzle game that I always felt like was kind of ahead of its time, and in fact, I think was also on maybe there was a Super Nintendo version, maybe it was also on Genesis, I don't remember, but it was on other systems beyond NES, and was at the tail end of the NES days. What was the year on this? This was a Tengen game, by the way, and oh look, there was an old company in Arkansas called Quick Flick. I wonder what that phone number goes to now. Somebody call that phone number. But anyway, is there a year on this? I don't know. Anyway, I think this is like 91, 92. But it was toward the end of the NES days. It really kind of looks like a Super Nintendo game. It is pushing the graphics capabilities to the max there. It's very 3D looking. It's a puzzle game that has blocks that are coming at you and flipping toward you as it goes. There's the Ninja Turtles arcade game, and I've got, of course, the legendarily difficult first Ninja Turtles game. There's Yoshi's Cookie. That's a puzzle I always liked quite a bit. Incredible Crash Dummies is a game nobody talks about that was a side-scroller that I thought was a lot of fun, liked a lot. Unfortunately, my cartridge doesn't work very well, so I haven't been able to play very far in it since I rented it when I was a kid. And the NES version of Wheel of Fortune is hilarious. Here's some Genesis games. I've got mostly superhero stuff and kind of I guess just a lot of licensed properties and things based on TV shows and movies. There's some Star Trek stuff. Tiny Toon Adventures was kind of a Mario 3 clone, but I always liked it quite a bit. Bubsy is a game that I've done a platforming hour on. I actually need to go back at some point and finally finish that, even though not a lot of people really were interested in those. But maybe I'll finish that for the few folks that were watching that with me. Mickey Mania is one of my absolute favorite side scrollers, and is also really hard. Comic Zone is another legendarily difficult side scroller, and Vector Man is like that too. A lot of really, really tough platformers on the Genesis. Jurassic Park as well. A fun platformer, but really difficult to, if you're playing as the Raptor anyway, of getting your Raptor into those tight spaces. Here's my 360 games. I'm thinking about doing a video sometime in the near future on the Injustice Ultimate Edition, because they added some characters and I think really made that a better game. I wish all that had been there in the first place, but now that we've had some time, and it's a lot cheaper. You can get that for like right now I think $17-18, and it's got more characters and is a lot more fleshed out, I think. And then some of the skins are just really super cool. They've got Man of Steel skins now for Superman and Zod, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Let's see, Hitman Absolution. I love the Hitman games. I'm absolutely terrible at them. They require two people for me. I need my wife to help me figure out where the heck I'm going, and then I do the actual controlling. Sarah hates memorizing button configurations, and I'm not any good at geography. Might do a playthrough at some point with Vince on Ghostbusters, if we can find the time. I've been thinking about doing that. It's just my time with Vince is really limited, but that's a thing we'd like to do. Might do it with Brandon if I can't do it with Vince, or maybe the three of us, I don't know. What else? Mortal Kombat versus DC. I guess was, you know, a thing that you had to have before Injustice, but I like it a lot. And Alan Wake I have not played much of yet. I need to go back and do that. It's kind of a survival horror thing. I'm not real great at those, but that was one that when I worked at GameStop looked really interesting, so I bought it, you know, later on. Here's my kind of piddly Dreamcast collection. I've got the Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, which I like a lot. Of course, Knights is one of my favorite games of all time. Crazy Taxi is one of my favorite games of all time. There's Sonic Adventure 2, which is, of course, really good. I'm not a big fan of 3D Sonic, but they kind of got it right that second time, and then not as much after that, in my opinion. And then there's a Quake 3 Arena. My wife and I used to play Quake all the time. I got quite a bit of stuff for the DS. Sarah and I used to take the DS with us and play all the time. I've got the Sonic Mega Collection there. It's really nice to get to play those on the go. I love original Sonic, play it all the time. And Sarah's real big into puzzle games, so a lot of the puzzle things you're seeing, that's Sarah's stuff. I also like Monkey Ball a lot, for kind of a puzzle experience with platforming. It was something sort of akin to platforming. You're not jumping, but it takes a lot of precision and finesse. What else? GameCube stuff. There's my GameCube collection. My kid right now is super huge into Super Smash Brothers and is asking me to get the other Smash Brothers games I don't have. I don't have the one on the Wii or the 64, but I have the other two. And Jason's really cool because he likes to go all the way back. He does not have this. I mean, he's 5 and does not have this. It's got to be new kind of attitude. He loves going back and told me the other day that we played Star Wars Battlefront. There's Battlefront. I don't have a place for PS4 games yet. I only have a couple. We were playing Battlefront, and then he started playing some of the one of the Super Nintendo Star Wars games, and he said, "Dad, I like this better because it doesn't look realistic." And that was really funny. He prefers it to look to look more cartoony. And anyway, here's some PS2. I got a ton of PS2 games. Of course, that library was just absolutely, or a ton comparatively, because that library was, of course, just absolutely insane. Some of my favorite things on PS2 include, of course, God of War, and there is there's a new God of War compilation that came out on PS4 that I'd like to get because I never did play the third one. So anyway, what else? Of course, the Guitar Hero and Rock Band games, we used to play those all the time. Virtua Fighter 4 was probably ultimately technically the greatest of the Virtua Fighter games, although I got 5 finally on 360, and I like it, but I think I still like 4 a little bit better. There is, let's see, anything else on PS4 I should probably talk about. Of course, that's when we started getting into the Lego games real hard. We're only a few away from owning all of the Lego games. Again, that's a series that my wife likes a lot. We're going to be playing Lego Dimensions sometime in the near future, and looking forward to that. And again, might do some gameplay on that for you. And then there's some Saturn games. I have a couple more that are just in sleeves that you're not seeing here, like Virtua Fighter 2, and I think there's like another racing game. Was it Daytona? I think, but yeah, Gex is one of my favorite games for that system, and the Fighters Mega Mix is interesting, but they tried to put too many things in it at once, and it kind of slows the whole thing down, and it has, I don't know, everything's under-detailed and stuff in that game. There are more Saturn games that I should have and just don't right now. Okay, and then as I said, most of my movie collection's in here. Won't go through that stuff, but there, look, movies, movies, and what else? That is pretty much this room, and then here is my really cool Captain Kirk custom swivel chair. Somebody from, I don't think I've ever shown this off anywhere, somebody in my Star Trek club, we call him Jarrell. He dumpster dove this chair years ago and thought that the arms made it perfect to be a Captain Kirk chair. So he built this facade around it and made it look like a Captain Kirk chair, but it is still a swivel chair. And at some point, I would love to put blinking lights and stuff on it, and maybe even build in remote controls on the arms. I think that'd be really super cool. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with this room right now, and I would love to know what you folks think about it. Like I said, I'm just kind of stoked right now that I can plug in, or that everything is plugged in at once, and I can turn on any system that I want to right now. So anyway, I'm going to get going, because I'm kind of anchoring to play some video games right now, and hope you enjoyed the tour. I should also mention that, we'll come out here for a second, I should also mention that I just took the door off of here because this is such a small room and I was running out of space, and the door opened the wrong direction. It came out this way and it was just ridiculous. So this has become more of an extension of the Batcave, of the Geekvolution studio here, and less of a room off by itself, which I also really like about it. So anyway, well, I hope you enjoyed this tour. I hope it wasn't boring. I wasn't sure how much interest this would be to a lot of people, because I know I probably mentioned a lot of things that some of you folks will just know already. But in case you're not familiar with some of these old school systems, or in case you were just curious to see what my setup was like, here it is in all of its geeky glory. And in the meantime, I am gonna get going, like I said, and play some video games. I will see you again with more videos very shortly. I'm Captain Logan. Thanks for watching.